All right, so the Miami Dolphins go out and they get themselves Devon Achane. Devon Achane, the 5'8", 188-pound guy who runs a 4.3, so that kind of tells you pretty much everything you need to know right away. But don't tune out now. There's plenty that we're going to get into to film and some analytics, stuff like that. But first, let's just talk about the selection itself. Drafting a running back in round 3, it's kind of a running joke almost. The fact that the Kyle Shanahan scheme is the perfect display of the fact that running backs aren't as valuable as the other positions in the running game are, and they are overvalued. And despite that, the coaches that run the Shanahan scheme tend to value running backs very highly and tend to spend a lot of capital on running backs regardless. Obviously, Mike McDaniel runs a very similar scheme to what we see Kyle Shanahan do in San Francisco. He's from the Shanahan system, from the Shanahan coaching tree, I should say. They're going out and they're making sure that they get a running back who I think fits this scheme perfectly. Like I said, the speed that paired up with this scheme, which usually relies on speed, usually likes to have very fast running backs, I think he's going to be a perfect fit. Round 3, I don't really hate. Again, we're past the 80 pick mark at this point. I'm fine with going after a running back here. Again, is it an overvalued position due to like fantasy football and stuff? Yes, but here is fine. I have no issue with this. And I could actually see a scenario where he ends up being a fantasy football darling with Miami. I could see something like that happening. I really do think that he is someone who could really add to this team. Again, I guess the issue is like they do running back by committee, so maybe he won't necessarily get the carries. That's what makes fantasy football so weird. But, you look at their running back room. You have Raheem Mostert, you have Myles Gaskin, you have Jeff Wilson Jr., those are fine running backs, but again, the Shanahan scheme is, like I said, running back by committee. You like to have a lot of different guys, and not necessarily different guys who can do a bunch of different things, just different guys in general, a lot of different players in the room, and I do think that he's someone who can do that, and that's something that they do value, so I can kind of understand the logic behind why they're so interested in it. So for me personally, this is a selection that I'm going to say I'll say this. I'm excited by this pick. I'm very excited by this pick. And as I kind of joked about on the podcast, his name's Devon Achane. How can you not want to get a guy who has a name like that? You can have the, Devon Achane moves the chains. Could be, great branding opportunity there. That's definitely pretty exciting. But yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on the pick itself, what he's going to bring to Miami. But now let's kind of shift gears and let's talk about the player himself. Because like I said, really big fan of what he is and what he can bring to the table, and let me show you why. So this is Devon Achane's PFF page. You see that not a ton of carries each of the last 3 seasons, only 43 in 2020, 130 in 2021, and then 196 in 2022. You also see that bit of better grade in 2021 than in 2022. So that's also worth noting, even though he had more snaps in 2022. Maybe that makes some sense, actually. But still, all the other statistics on the right, very good. One thing worth mentioning is how much does this matter? I don't really think it matters at all, to be honest. There's not really evidence to support that this kind of stuff matters one way or the other strongly at the running back position, so I wouldn't read too much into it, but kind of maybe just a nice way to understand a little bit about the player. But we've really got to watch the tape, so let's watch the tape. One thing you definitely see with him, very good in open space, and this is going to be an example of that, where it's going to be a run to the offense's right, and I've highlighted an edge rusher on that side of the field because he's going to be completely unblocked on this play. He's going to run in towards the quarterback. Basically, the idea is it could be the quarterback running, it could be the halfback running. This is actually Will Anderson Jr., who many have as their favorite non-quarterback in this draft class. He's the guy who's going to kind of get himself out of position a little bit. Watch how he moves in. He goes towards the quarterback, but Achane is the one with the ball who right here, there's some players who can come in and make a play, but this is where you really see what Achane can do. Watch as he is able to be so shifty and he moves around. And again, he's only 5'8", right? So you kind of expect him to be able to shift around a little bit, and he's able to do that. The speed of being a 4'3" guy and his shiftiness is definitely what you like to see. Like this one's another example of kind of really just the speed, where it's going to be very similar. You have an edge rusher. This time it's not Will Anderson Jr., different player, who's going to be on the edge, and it's going to read this play a little bit better. But, again, try to freeze him a little bit with the threat of maybe this is going to be a pass or even a quarterback run, but then, Achane goes around the edge, and just watch what he does. Watch how when the ball is, handed off to him, he is able to run around, and he just gets to the edge, gets past that player. Nothing crazy, no massive run, but I do think that a lesser running back gets tackled kind of around the line of scrimmage there. The fact that he has that 4.3 speed is certainly what you feel good about with him. Now, there's things you don't necessarily love with him. One of those things is his size, right? And I think a concern you're immediately going to have with the size is, okay, if he's only 5'8", he's listed at 188 pounds, will he be able to block? Well, let's look at this play where he is going to be blocking on this play. It's going to be, you see the player who he's going to be picking up here on the blitz for Alabama, and watch what he's able to do. Look, as you see, he does a pretty good job here. I mean, he reads it well, gets in position, and holds his own. Now, again, if there was 3-4 seconds to make that play, he's not going to hang in there. But at the same time, when does a running back ever work in that situation? All you need is a running back who can do fine in blitz pickup, and I think that's what he'll be able to do. I'm actually not concerned about his blocking, even though he doesn't have the frame to be an elite blocker. He's just never going to be that guy. I think he at least has the frame to do okay, and that's what you like to see. Again, one last play. This one is going to be, once again, one of these sweeping plays to, outside the tackle. That's a lot of what they did at Texas A&M. Watch how when they give Achane the ball once again, he is able to get to the outside. And this is, again, just his shiftiness and his footwork, what he can do. Watch him be able to, while at a top speed, shift around and be able to still pick up a decent gain on that one. Just little things like this I can definitely see. And I do really like his running style especially is very good. And to me, he does feel like he's, a blocker who can do several different things. Or excuse me, a running back who could do several different things, including block, which is, listen, it's really important, that blocking stuff. People tend to not pay a ton of attention to the blocking. They just focus on how you are as a runner. But the reality is, if you can't block, teams aren't going to have you out there very often, because then it kind of gives away what they're doing. It gives away if they're running or passing, or you just can't have the running back block, and now you don't have an extra line of defense if there's a blitz. Teams see, certain guys who can run well but don't pick up blitzes well, then they blitz you, and then your quarterback is in trouble. So the fact that Achane can do that stuff definitely is a positive, because he is a very good runner as well. So yeah, those are my thoughts on him. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Devon Achane? Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.